we're going to gather a piece that is 4 inches along the straight grain, see my selvage there, by 11 inches onto a piece that's 4 inches on the straight grain by 6 inches. So we've got to scooch all that up and get it onto there. So we set the smaller piece aside. We come over here, set our stitch length to basting 5, and I'm going to make 2 rows of gathering stitches with my basting. The first one's going to be at the 1/2 inch seam. I'm going to leave some tails ideally. And then the next row will be 1/4 inch. So in between the edge of the fabric and the stitching I just did. The 2 rows gives us a little more control than just 1 row. And especially if we were doing a really large piece, it would be a little bit of insurance that in case one of them broke, we still have the other one. But now, I want to go right sides together, 1/2 inch seam, and make these 2 guys join up. So I'm going to just pull up some of my gather stitches before I even try to match these guys. So you want to pick one side. Typically, you try to get the bobbin thread, it's supposed to be a little easier to pull. So my bobbin's white. And we want to pull the 2 rows of stitching at the same time. So pull them evenly, just holding the threads. I pull and it gathers up my fabric like that. And I want to get this to be that length. So I can pull from both directions. Just still pulling only the bobbin threads. And when I get it to be 6 inches, now I have to make sure everything's evenly distributed. I don't want there to be like clusters of gathers and flat spots. I want it to all look uniform across the length of the seam. So I'm going to go on and join these guys. And at the first 1/2 inch or so is going to be flat. It's just really, it's impossible to take the gathers all the way to the edge. And if I still need to pull up my thread some more, I can. It'll still work even though the pins are in there. I could even have marked my center of this piece before I started and the center of this piece. That would have been wise. There's the center of this piece. The center of my big piece I can still find. It's right there. Yes, we can do notches before we start. We'll do that in class. All right, so yeah, see, I can tell that this center one needs to shift over some. So I'll get him right there. And I want this edge to be flat. I want this one to be smooth against it with all my little puckers. There we go. Looking nice and even. So I don't want pleats. That's what I don't want big things like that to happen. I just want nice, lovely gathers. Keeping my cut edges even up top so that both of them just get the 1/2 inch seam allowance. And now I gotta come over here and get this guy. So maybe I need to pull my strings a little bit more for this half. That's pretty good. Now I just need to distribute them. See, I'm going to look at things like when they start taking an angle, I want to straighten them out. It's not uncommon for them to work themselves a little loose. That looks pretty good. Okay. And now I'm just going to stitch it at 1/2 inch. I like to stitch with the gathered piece on top so I can see what I'm doing. In case I do kind of start to make a big pleat or something, maybe I can catch it before it happens. Right there, I'm already picking at something. I haven't even started sewing yet. Back stitch, of course. And now we should be stitching kind of right at that first row of gathering stitches, right on top of it, or if the needle is landing just a hair's width to the side of it, that's fantastic. So I'm looking, I'm afraid I've got like a big pleat right there. I'm just going to kind of try to adjust it a smidgen. Oops, I didn't mean to lift up my needle there, because I don't want to make these adjustments without my needle in place. But that might be another one. Okay. So I don't want to see any like spaces where there's really no gathers or anything that's looking like a huge pleat, and I really don't want to see anything kind of angly. That doesn't look too bad there. And so now we gotta go press it. First we'll press it as sewn. And then our directions say to press the seam towards the larger piece. You can see how it would really just like to go up towards the smaller piece. But if sometimes we end up pressing the seam towards the gathers to kind of support them and help them to poof out. See how it's poofing now that the seam is pushed down, whereas when the seam's up there, it kind of just falls in. So press the seam allowance towards the larger piece. What you don't want to do is smash your gathers too much. So you might have to come at it from this side and press well. Once we're happy with it, we need to take a really close look and see if any of our gather stitches are showing. Because if they are, we should rip them out. If they're not, we don't have to worry about them. But I can see a couple right there that I should remove. But they're not showing up real bad. I may be able to just yank them out. If not, we can always just get them with our seam ripper. Here we go. So that was the bobbin. I'll get my seam ripper to pick those out. So I see a purple thread right there. There we go. So now it's not showing, and we can just clip these other threads away.